Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, we are currently less than 30 days between now and the midterm elections, and I've seen so many bad takes lately on the timeline from a lot of, the leftists on the election side of Twitter, and I see a lot of bad polls. And I see a lot of bad takes from these so-called election mafia experts and forecasters like 538, better known as Nate Plastics 527. And you look at Emerson and what they did, they released a poll out of Ohio that has JD Vance up by 1 over Tim Ryan. JD Vance, great candidate, relates to the Trump base in Ohio. He won the primary with a resounding margin compared to what a lot of pollsters and pundits initially expected. And he's going up against fake moderate Tim Ryan, who is weak on immigration, who wants to get rid of the filibuster, who is a flip-flopper his entire career and a total war hawk. Emerson has JD Vance up by 1 in the Trump +8 state, and a lot of bad takes ensued from a lot of people, and we're going to talk about why Vance is going to win easily in this video, despite what the polls are saying. But first, I have to tell you guys about our latest sponsor over at the Veteran Challenge coin, because veteran suicides have been going up lately through the roof. It's been reported that at least 22 veterans commit suicide every single day, and recent studies show the actual rate may be much higher. This is a tragedy. We must support our veterans now more than ever, and you could do so by getting a Veteran Challenge coin. You can claim the coin for free by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment down below. Just covers shipping. It comes with a 60-day satisfaction guarantee for a limited time only while supplies last. So this Emerson poll right here that came out, it has Trump winning in 2024 by 8 points, yet it has JD Vance up by just 1 over Tim Ryan. Tim Ryan at 45% in the poll. Also, Mike DeWine has a 14-point lead over Democrat nominee Nan Whaley in the governorship. And yet again, we look at the Nate Plastic forecast, and he gives Tim Ryan a 30% chance of winning Ohio. Yet he only gives Tudor Dixon a 5% chance at winning Michigan, which is less than what he gives Beto O'Rourke's chance in the state of Texas. It's ridiculous. And you look at this forecast right here, he gives Tim Ryan a better chance than both Dr. Oz and Blake Masters, almost as good of a chance as Herschel Walker in the state of Georgia, which we talked about in the last video. Absolutely ridiculous. These people never learn. We talk about what 538 does. They take money from pollsters. The more money they get, the higher grade that they give to the pollster, and then they unskew the polls in favor of the Democrats, which is ridiculous, especially in a place like Ohio, because we know how polls have been in Ohio in the past. Donald Trump led the polls over Hillary Clinton in Ohio by just 2 points. On election night, he won the state by over 8. And at this time, back in 2016, Hillary Clinton had over a 2-point lead in the state of Ohio. Absolutely ridiculous. And we know how bad the polls are. 2020, you talk about Emerson. Emerson in their final poll had Biden winning the state of Ohio. So if they have JD Vance up by just 1, I'd kind of believe that JD Vance is probably up by close to 10, if not even double digits by now. And this is true. Even Trafalgar underestimates Republicans in Ohio. A lot of the base in Ohio that may not have voted Republican before 2016, they are hard to reach in polls. A lot of third-shift factory workers. You have a lot of white working-class voters. The same polls tend to miss these voters in Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan in many cases, etc. And as a result, they oversample a lot of liberal Republicans. They oversample a lot of never-Trumpers, and their polls end up being vastly off from the end result. I mean, the end result of the polls in 2020 in Ohio, they had Donald Trump up by just 1 point, and then he won by 8.2%, a polling error of 7 points. So if they have JD Vance up by 1, he's probably going to win by a similar margin to what Donald Trump won by. And this is very true. Emerson having Vance up by just 1. And there's some right-wing internal polls that have Vance up by a slim margin. But these same internal polls were off in 2020 They were off. They underestimated Republicans and overestimated Democrats to the point where Trump spent a lot of money in time in Ohio and Iowa that he didn't necessarily have to spend because the polls were so bad in these places, and people need to understand, especially Trump's base. This is one of the few polls I've seen that has Ron DeSantis outperforming Donald Trump, and it's probably because of the fact that they oversampled college-educated white voters compared to not. And even so, Trump's up by 8. A lot of the polls have undecideds that disapprove of Biden by a sizable margin. That alone would be enough to say that Vance should be favored by a likely margin at a minimum. But it's much, much deeper than that. This is a systematic polling error in the state of Ohio. So anybody that's going to sit up here and tell you, oh, Ohio's competitive, North Carolina's competitive this cycle, even Wisconsin is going to be competitive at the Senate level, or that Tony Evers is favored to win re-election. It's important that we just tune those people out because they never learn. Time and time again, how many times do we have to be right and how many times do they have to be wrong? You could say, oh, well, those were presidential years. The biggest cope in the world, by the way. You look at 2018, even Trafalgar, I believe, had Richard Cordray in the lead in Ohio, and Mike DeWine won by 4 to 5 points. The polls also overestimated Sherrod Brown. They underestimated Renacci in the Senate race. I mean, it's very possible that if Republicans put up a better candidate that actually tried, then maybe they would have flipped that seat in the blue wave year of 2018. Depending on who the candidate was, depending on how they campaigned. But we didn't see that. Partially, you could say that's because polls demoralized a lot of people, because polls, for the most part, during the cycle had Sherrod Brown up by double digits. He only won by around 6 points or so. It's true. Absolutely. And you look at RCP right now, they have Vance in the lead. I mean, Vance is going to win big at the end of the day. He's possibly going to win by 10. He just destroyed Tim Ryan in the debate. Go watch the debate. You would agree with me. It was an objective takedown. Vance, peaked late in the primaries because as the debates went on, he did very well. He's a very skilled, tactical debater, and it paid off for him. And Tim Ryan is somebody that goes out there and acts like a resist lib half the time. The other half the time, he LARPs as a fake moderate. And that's not going to play out well in the state of Ohio because Ohio is done with those types of politicians. Those were the politicians that used to be the electoral juggernauts in Ohio 10, 20 years ago. But this is 2022. This is a new day in American politics. And Tim Ryan very well is going to, you could even say, underperform a lot of people's expectations in his home district. I mean, he almost lost in 2020 compared to what a lot of people expected. And this is very true, especially in that part of Ohio. He's from northeastern Ohio. Let's look at Ohio in 2016. Look at those red arrows, those big, beautiful red arrows up in pretty much everywhere except suburban Columbus and a little bit in suburban Cincinnati. You look at it all together, Republicans did very, very well. And those trends carried over into 2020 in a lot of places. There's a reason why the state didn't move at all. It trended to the right compared to the national environment change. And these counties in Tim Ryan's district, they were moving right. Northeastern Ohio, Vance did very well there in the primary. Places like Ashtabula County. I remember you had Democrats on Twitter talking about how that county was going to go for Biden by a sizable margin. It was going to swing back, they said. It didn't happen. Not only that, Trump did much better there than he did in 2016. He almost won the county by 25 points. Trumbull County, he won that one by 10. He flipped Mahoning County there, a big fracking county as well. In the state, and he did even better in places like Toledo. He did better in Cleveland. The whole northern part of the state, he did very well. These trends are going to continue. Ohio is the new Missouri. Make no mistake, Missouri used to be that bellwether swing state. Ohio used to be it as well. But then Missouri became a Republican stronghold. Now Ohio is also becoming a Republican stronghold. Up next is going to be the state of Wisconsin. I mean, the demography is there. It's very working class. It's the electorate, at least, is like at least 85% white or so. It's also a state where there's a high concentration of the population in rural areas. So you look at the full picture here. Ohio is not flipping blue this cycle. There's no way, especially when you consider the past polling errors. Did they magically fix the polls in 2020? No, they said they would. They lied to you. And they're lying to you again if they say that this is the case. It's not that competitive. A lot of Democrats, I hope they spend money in Ohio. I hope they spend energy there. But JD Vance is going to be en route to a large election victory. It's going to be called early on election night. It's going to demoralize Democrats, and he's going to instantly be one of the best senators in the United States Senate when he gets in there, along with Blake Masters, among others. And this is very much the case. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.